Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN just after 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday. We got quite a volatile session going on right now. You have the S&Ps positive by 1 point. We're trading at 63.98. We're bouncing, and you talk about a bounce. We're 35 points off the lows at about 2:15 p.m. Eastern Time. You got the S&Ps right now flat, and that is after digesting. You're talking about moves of Microsoft, Meta to the upside. We'll talk about those coming up in a moment. And then you have Google losing their battle with Epic Games. And so that equity is down 2.3% right out of the gate. You're challenging the lows right now on Google. You have the NASDAQ 100 down by 49 points right now. And yeah, we're coming into important areas. We're right at the lows of yesterday afternoon on Chairman Powell, with the market trading a little bit lower. But check out this bar we have going on in the market right now. Let's zoom in on a little bit, right? You talk about a bar. We haven't had anything like this in some time. You started dramatically higher. The NASDAQ 100 is now 420 points off of its highs. You barely look like you're in the red, but we're approaching 2% off of the highs right now. Okay, and you give it up on a day like this. Look at this S&Ps. And it's going to be an interesting hour of action. As we come in, you have Apple and Amazon after the bell. Amazon behaving pretty well today. You're up by 2%. Strong numbers on the Azure, strong numbers on the cloud. Amazon was as high as 239. You're trading at 234. They'll be out with their numbers after the bell. Apple, not really in the same genre in terms of all the cloud exposure. Apple shares flat right now, but we have red across the board. And you're talking about a market that is now about 75 points off of the highs. So the S&Ps are flat, but we were positive by more than 1%. So you have a give up going on right now. And look for this technical area. I'm talking about the lows of yesterday. You got a nice bounce there, but we got 51 minutes left of trading today, folks. And boy, could it get any better really on the numbers on Microsoft and Meta? I guess it could have gotten better. The only way it gets better is if they make as much money as they did and somehow they say they're not going to have to spend the money. But that's not how the case is going to go. And Microsoft in particular, quite a pullback, but Meta, man, it's on its own planet. Up by 12%, up by $80. You talk about it. All right, so we get inflation data this morning. 8:30, zooming in on the action on a 5-minute basis, coming into the market. There's a little 8:30 volatility. We jump over to yields right now. And we got a little bit of lower price, higher yield right now. You're looking at a 10-year. 4.36. All things considered, you're just back to where you were at almost 9 a.m. this morning, right? The dollar with a decisive move, though. And with the dollar sitting at 100, gold holding up okay, but sitting at 33.48 right now. And as I've mentioned, right, that's within the futures. If you're looking at the futures, okay, you get this theoretical bump when you roll over on a quarterly basis on futures, right? You roll over, you give yourself another 90 days. The time value of those futures contracts boosts that from 33.15 to 33.67. So you're talking about a $50 boost. So if you didn't have that $50 boost going on, okay, and it occurs every 3 months, but on a spot basis, you're pushing the lows right now, as you should be when you have dollar strength at almost 100 right now. And yeah, inflation reading offers few surprises, but that reading came in at 2.8%. When you're talking about core PCE, core personal expenditure, on a monthly basis, 0.3% in June. On a yearly basis, you do come up at 2.8%. And if you're not aware of it, folks, tomorrow is August 1st. Well, that's the deadline, right? And so you get the headline out there. The President Trump's going to set new tariffs before midnight. You got a slew of headlines coming out. We'll see if we get some volatility tomorrow as those become inked on paper. Plans remain fluid about how the U.S. will handle the many nations that did not reach a tariff agreement. You got a little volatility and a little fear coming into that potential. And yeah, all things considered, VIX, you know, we're elevated, okay, with an S&P that's just negative by 2. Okay, we're not dealing with a 14 handle anymore. We're not dealing with a 15 handle anymore. We're dealing with a 16 handle, and the S&P is just negative by 2 points, folks. And we'll be talking to our man Tim Ward. And you know, when he looks at the SPY VIX, the ratio, and you have a VIX that's spiking well off the high of 17 right now. But this market has not fallen apart just yet, right? We're just back to where we were basically at 11 in the morning yesterday. We've had extreme volatility over that period of time. And yeah, you take a look at NVIDIA, man. I mean, NVIDIA just traded from 185 to 176. This company is worth so much money. That's almost a $9 move, which is a $225 billion market cap move. And all that was just a little bit of a fade lower off the exuberant high of 185 till this morning. $225 billion market cap. They're the leader. And if you can wipe $225 billion in market cap off the equity in a heartbeat, basically offer just a little bit of exuberance, over exuberance. And the volume hasn't peaked yet. I was going to say, maybe we'll get some volume. Wait, hold on. Let me back that up. That might not be the bar. Yeah, we have some volume, and we'll get some volume. Last trading day of the month, you'll get some volume as well. And we've already done about 170 million shares for NVIDIA. All right, we're going to make a run for these lows again, folks. You know, you got volume at the lows of almost 12,000 contracts. That's on a 5-minute. Let's go a little. We'll get too focused. On a 15-minute basis. Yeah, volume at those lows as well. Look at this. You bounce on nothing. You get a little bounce here, but that's it. Amazon up by 1.7% right now, and Apple shares are flat. So yeah, we might get this right at 4 o'clock. You might get it at 5:30. You might get it close to midnight. The plan is fluid. 150 countries are going to receive a letter imposing blanket duties of around 10 to 15%. And yeah, August 1st is tomorrow. All right, we'll come back and we'll talk some of these high flyers, man. We'll talk a little Microsoft and we'll talk a little bit of Google as they lose their appeal in the App Store fight with Fortnite maker Epic. And that's in the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. Means the Google Play Store will need to lift restrictions to prevent app developers from setting up rival marketplaces and billing systems. Google lower today. We'll come right back, folks.